Welcome back, focused learners. Today's explainer is an absolute game changer. We're diving into a fascinating blueprint for personal transformation that we pulled from our source material. And honestly, it completely shifted how we look at our daily challenges, our time, and what success actually means. If you're ready to drastically change how you view your everyday circumstances, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get right into it. So, what if the foundational rules you've been playing by your entire life are just wrong? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But the reality is, most of us learn these fundamental life lessons way too late in the game. We spend literally decades operating on completely false assumptions. Well, today, we're fixing that. We're going to fast track these lessons so you can start applying them right now. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, confronting life's hard truths. Okay, let's dive right into this first one. And fair warning, it is a bit of a tough pill to swallow. Life does not reward effort equally. We're always taught that if we just work hard enough, success is pretty much guaranteed, right? But the real world paints a totally different picture. It's like two people pushing a massive boulder. One person is starting on a nice, smooth, flat surface, while the other is starting at the bottom of a steep, muddy hill. They're both pushing with everything they've got, but the results are just vastly different. Things like starting conditions, timing, and even sheer luck play a huge role. Now, recognizing this isn't meant to bring you down. It's actually meant to recalibrate your expectations so you can stop waiting around for a fairness that just doesn't exist. So, once we accept that life isn't inherently fair, we really only have two paths forward. The first path is complaints. That's like standing out in a pouring rainstorm and just complaining about how wet you're getting. It drains your mental energy and changes absolutely nothing. The second path, though, is adaptation. This is where the highest performers live. They completely bypass the complaining phase and focus entirely on acceptance and progress. We've got to stop wasting our mental bandwidth being upset about the rules of the game and instead pivot entirely toward adapting to them so we can actually win. Which brings us to how we spend our resources, specifically looking at our two biggest assets, money and time. Now, money is renewable. You can make a terrible investment, overspend on a fancy dinner, or just lose a bet. And you know what? You can always earn it back. It's a temporary setback. But time? Time is like a shattered hourglass. You absolutely cannot negotiate with time. A wasted hour is just gone for eternity. Yet, despite knowing that time is our most precious, non-renewable asset, it is crazy how easy it is to waste years, literally years, on daily distractions. It forces us to ask a really tough question. Are we protecting our time like the invaluable asset it is? Or are we just handing it over to endless doom scrolling and short-term gratification? We have got to protect those hours fiercely. Moving right along to section 2, master your internal drive. We absolutely have to break down the grand illusion of motivation. Because motivation, it's just a spark. It's like striking a match. It's fleeting, temporary, and almost entirely dependent on how you happen to feel in that exact moment. Waiting around until you feel ready to do the work is a massive trap. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine. It's the interlocked gears that just keep turning no matter what your mood is. Discipline guarantees progress, especially on those days when that little spark of motivation is nowhere to be found. And here is the real secret. Successful people do not let their emotional states dictate their output. Instead, they rely on habits, not feelings. They engineer their success by building these consistent, unbreakable routines. Because when you build a rock-solid habit, you actually remove the decision-making process entirely. You don't have to choose to work hard. You just execute the routine. It's the difference between waking up and hoping you feel like hitting the gym versus having your shoes already tied and walking out the front door before your brain can even come up with an excuse. Which leads us perfectly into section 3, curating your daily environment. Listen, you simply cannot outwill a toxic environment. It's impossible. The spaces you inhabit, the media you scroll through, the people you talk to, your environment is actively shaping your mindset every single minute. If your environment is a chaotic, neglected mess, your mindset is going to wither right along with it. We have to start treating our minds like a highly protected greenhouse. Curating the environment around you isn't just some nice-to-have luxury, it is absolute survival for your goals. And a massive part of that environment is the people you surround yourself with. When you look at how our social circles influence us, the data is just stark. Your friends heavily dictate your trajectory. It's pretty eye-opening when you honestly assess who is fueling your growth and who is just feeding you toxicity. If we want to thrive, we have to actively cultivate those growth-oriented relationships and rigorously, almost ruthlessly, prune the toxic influences that are holding us back. All right, getting into section 4, failure and extreme ownership. we need to completely redefine this scary word failure. Because failure is not the end of the road. The source material emphasizes this over and over. Failure is simply essential feedback for success. Think about someone like James Dyson, who famously created over 5,000 failed prototypes before he finally got his revolutionary vacuum right. Every single highly successful person has failed, and usually a lot. The difference is they don't take it personally. They don't see it as a reflection of their worth. They use it purely as data, a learning tool to build extreme resilience. So, the absolute crucial point here is how you react to that data. When things go wrong, do you immediately point the finger? Because blaming others just creates excuses, and excuses freeze you exactly where you are. You stop moving. The alternative is grabbing the steering wheel yourself. Shifting away from excuses and fully embracing extreme personal accountability is the ultimate catalyst for real growth. No excuses whatsoever. You own the result, which means you now have the absolute power to steer things in a completely new direction. And taking that level of extreme responsibility means realizing that your life isn't shaped by one or two massive, dramatic events. No, it's shaped by the tiny, seemingly insignificant decisions you make every single day. Hitting snooze or jumping out of bed, reaching for water or grabbing a soda, reading 10 pages of a book or watching TV. We have to own these small daily decisions, brick by brick, because they are literally the foundation of our entire future. And finally, Section 5, the daily action blueprints. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it builds into a non-negotiable daily toolkit. First, it starts the exact moment you wake up. You wake up with purpose, knowing exactly why you're getting out of bed. Second, you channel that energy by setting clear goals, so you have a specific target to hit. Third, you build discipline routines, relying on those rock-solid habits we talked about instead of waiting for motivation. Fourth, you learn continuously, treating every stumble as just more data to absorb. And fifth, you fiercely avoid negative influences, protecting that mindset at all costs. When you execute those steps day in and day out, your life just inherently becomes better. Why? Because the underlying mindset has changed. It's the compounding effect of these small, disciplined tweaks, like a snowball rolling down a mountain, that ultimately alters your destiny. Small changes gather this incredible momentum and inevitably lead to a massive transformation. I want to leave you with this final, powerful thought straight from the source material. Start changing your life today, not tomorrow. If time is truly our most precious, non-renewable resource, then what exactly are we waiting for? Are we going to just keep operating on the illusion of fairness and waiting for a burst of motivation? Or are we going to take extreme ownership right now, in this very minute? The choice, as always, is entirely yours. Keep learning, keep focusing, and we will see you in the next explainer.